We're staying right where we are. Gunnar! Enough with this nonsense. Get your things and clear out by tomorrow, or we clear it
On
for
a
you.
quiet mountain morning, mist blankets the narrow paths. The sound of birds blends with the whisper of the wind through the bamboo trees, creating a rare sense of peace. Jack and Tu Tien are tending to their small garden in front of their modest wooden house. Though their life is poor, it is filled with love and serenity. Jack bends down to cultivate the soil, sweat forming on his forehead, while Tu Tien gently waters the green crops. They look at each other and smile, a smile of two people who chose to leave the noisy city behind in search of simple happiness. No pressure, no competition, only connection and trust in the future. But just as sunlight begins to break through the mist, an unfamiliar sound disrupts everything. The sound of an engine echoes from the foot of the mountain. A luxury car appears, slowly driving up the dirt road. Its arrival feels like a signal, reminding them that the past has never truly disappeared. The luxury car stops at the base of the mountain. The door opens, and a man steps out. He wears a black suit and polished leather shoes, exuding wealth and authority. This is Tan, the former rival of Jack. His sharp eyes scan the surroundings, as if calculating everything. He looks up at the mountain path where Jack has chosen a quiet life, far from the city. A faint smile appears on his face, a knowing, calculated smile. Without hesitation, Thand begins walking up the narrow mountain road step by step, carrying an unresolved past. The path is rough and uneven, but he shows no doubt. In his mind, Jack is not just a man who walked away. He is a key piece that could help regain control over everything. The wind blows, slightly moving his expensive suit, but his gaze remains steady. Thand's arrival is not just a visit. It marks the beginning of an approaching storm. Jack stands in the yard, his hands still covered in soil from working in the garden. He looks up and sees Thand walking toward him. The air seems to freeze. The mountain wind grows colder. Two men stand facing each other, close in distance, yet worlds apart. Thand stops and speaks confidently. "I didn't expect you to choose this kind of life." Jack doesn't respond immediately. He simply stares back, calm but sharp. Old memories resurface, past conflicts, failures, and secrets left unsaid. Tu Tien steps out of the house, sensing the tension. She stands beside Jack, her gaze guarded. For a few seconds, no one speaks. Only the wind and rustling leaves fill the silence. This is not just a meeting. It feels like an old wound being torn open again. Than gives a faint smile. "I'm here to help you." Than opens a suitcase. Inside are stacks of neatly arranged cash. Jack's expression shifts slightly, not out of greed, but because he understands what this offer truly means. "Just return to the city and you'll have everything," Tan says, his voice persuasive. "I can help you regain everything you lost." Tu Tien looks at Jack. She knows this is not just a simple offer. It's a doorway back to a past filled with both success and pain. Jack remains silent. He looks at the money, then at the small garden, and finally at the modest wooden house they built together. Inside, Jack begins to struggle. One side is a peaceful life. The other is a chance to regain everything. Tan stands still, waiting. The air grows heavier than ever. Jack slowly steps closer to the suitcase. His gaze drifts as if pulled into the past. Days of success, moments of failure, and everything he sacrificed to get where he once was. "You don't have to live like this," Thand says quietly. "You were born to achieve greatness." Those words hit like a blade. Jack clenches his fists. He turns to look at Tu Tien. She says nothing, but her eyes show complete trust. That trust is the reason he left everything behind. Jack closes his eyes. In his mind, two images clash: city lights and a small wooden house in the mountains. Two paths, two destinies. The internal conflict unfolds in silence, yet it is more intense than any argument. Unable to stay silent, Tu Tien steps forward, standing between Jack and Than. Her voice is not loud, but firm and unwavering. "We don't need your money." Than frowns. Tu Tien continues. "Our life isn't perfect, but it's real. We built it with our own hands." Jack opens his eyes. He looks at Tu Tien, the woman who has stood with him through everything. Her words pull him back to reality. Than lets out a faint laugh, but his expression changes. He realizes there are things money cannot buy. Tu Tien holds Jack's hand, standing firm in front of Than, a silent statement of strength. This is no longer about weakness. This is a battle of values. The tension fills the air. Than looks directly at Jack, his gaze turning colder. His smile completely fades. "You think leaving the city means escaping the past?" Than says slowly. "Have you forgotten about your father?" Those words freeze Jack in place. His heart tightens painfully. Tu Tien also senses something is wrong. Than steps closer. Some truths cannot stay buried forever. Jack clenches his fists, his voice trembling. "What are you talking about?" The atmosphere grows heavier. The wind picks up, as if signaling that something is about to break. Than does not answer immediately. He simply stares at Jack, holding a secret, one that has been buried for far too long. A truth Jack never knew is about to be revealed. Than exhales slowly, then speaks word by word. "Your father's death was not an accident." Everything freezes. Jack's eyes widen, his body stiff. "What are you saying?" Than continues. "He knew too much, and someone didn't want him to continue living." Tu Tien grips Jack's hand tightly, sensing the pain erupting inside him. "It was a conspiracy," Than says, "and you are connected to it." That final sentence hits like a blow. Jack stumbles back, his mind spiraling. Memories of his father flood in, blurred images now turning terrifying. The ground beneath him feels like it's collapsing. Jack drops to his knees, holding his head. His breathing becomes rapid. Everything around him fades. "No, this can't be," he mutters. Tu Tien kneels beside him, holding him tightly. "Calm down, I'm here." But Jack cannot hear her. His mind is drowning in chaos. The truth is too big, too painful. Than stands silently. His earlier confidence is gone. Only cold silence remains. Jack suddenly stands, his eyes burning with anger. "If you knew, why didn't you tell me earlier?" His voice echoes across the mountains, filled with desperation. Tu Tien tries to hold him back, tears falling. This is no longer just pain. It is the breaking of trust. Tu Tien stands up and steps forward. Her eyes are sharp, strong, and unwavering. "Enough!" Her voice is not loud, but powerful. She looks directly at Than. "You've said enough. Now leave." Than remains silent. For the first time, he is stopped, not by money, but by a person. Tu Tien turns back to Jack, speaking gently but firmly. "No matter what the past is, I'm still here." Jack looks at her. His eyes soften, but deep inside, the storm is still not over. Tu Tien holds his hand tightly, refusing to let him fall. Than gives a faint smile, then turns and walks away, disappearing down the mountain path. The wind blows. An old chapter closes, but the truth has only just begun.